From being a tour guide in the streets of Johannesburg to being the founder of CURIOCITY at just 21 years old, Bheki Dube saw a gap in the tourism market and grabbed every opportunity. 10 years later, CURIOCITY continues to flourish. I am Ondela Mlandu, and today we'll be in conversation with entrepreneur and industry leader Bheki Dube to find out more about his journey.
Good.
Bheki, welcome to the hot seat.
Thank you.
We're here today because we're celebrating 10 years of CURIOCITY. But first, we want to get to know the man behind the business. So please tell us just a little bit about your childhood and what your upbringing was like.
Yeah. No, thank you. Thank you for being here. I grew up in Johannesburg. In early years of my life, really, I owe to my grandmother, who I think just instilled a lot of qualities that I carry today. So nothing really exists without the context, and I think everything that I do are a manifestation of all her teachings. And then later on, I think when I was like 12, 13 years old, spent a bit of time with my mother. I only actually started calling my mother when I was 13. And I remember articulating it for the first time, and it was a bit awkward. So I used to think my mom is my sister and my grandmom is my mother. I grew up in Troyville, in a very fascinating neighborhood amongst artists, socialists, rebels of great consciousness, and some of the best minds of our time. And that's what really shaped almost my passion for, at that time, Johannesburg, and thinking beyond lines of demarcation set before us. And then in my early teens, I got introduced to some interesting entrepreneurs who were playing a very instrumental role in the urban regeneration of Johannesburg, namely Maboneng and what was happening in that time. And I think that alone as well just made me start dreaming beyond, my boundaries and circumstances. So yeah.
I was about to ask you, do you think that your childhood experiences have shaped, the individual that you are today?
Yeah, I think, being exposed to different knowledge systems, being exposed to, a vast world, and seeing how other people really dream, think, really helped me, also to really start saying, what do I become? And what type of legacy, what type of foundation do I want to set to propel, basically people after me.
You started your first business at the age of 16.
Yeah.
It was Main Street Walks,
Yeah.
right, in Johannesburg.
Yeah.
What was the drive behind that?
So I finished school very early. I finished school at 16. And I decided to take a gap year. I didn't really know what to do with my life. I think my brain hadn't fully matured, to know what it wants to do. During that gap year, I was working at an independent cinema house, the Bioscope. And what was happening is that a lot of people were starting to flock in to Johannesburg, really coming to look at art, urban regeneration that's happening in Johannesburg. And I realized that there was a missing gap in really showing people Johannesburg, saying, listen, Johannesburg, like many other cities in the world, it's a city with great history, great heritage. So how do you, show the beauty that is in Johannesburg? And I think I was at the right place at the right time. Started off on weekends, and it grew, it became midweek, it became experiences for schools, for travelers, for locals, and that's what ended up really leading into me wanting to open a CURIOCITY.
How do you keep yourself motivated?
I draw inspiration from just different streams, whether it's music, it's artists, it's entrepreneurs. In the beginning, I think it was, you're very passion-led, passion-driven. And then I think now, you've got so much responsibility that you don't have the option not to remain motivated. You've got people, I employ close to 70 staff members across the country. So the teams are on their own, a motivation, And then I've got, a board of directors as well that play an instrumental role in making sure that I'm constantly uplifted, I'm constantly, doing my part. So
I know you draw a lot of inspiration from the arts, poetry, design, architecture. Do you consider yourself a creative?
Yeah, I think I consider myself a creative. I mean, my first really realm into consciousness, was the visual language. So I'm a trained photojournalist. I've always had a passion for architecture and design. I wanted to study architecture and just didn't make it into Wits Architectural School. And I'm constantly also looking at different brands that motivate me and inspire me to draw inspiration from those, and everything that I do, whether, when we're starting a new curiosity, I make sure that the creativity, the arts are in the forefront. So if you look at the Curiosity Cape Town, where we are now here, we've done a mural with Adang Chikare, who's a prominent South African artist, to all the furniture pieces we've sourced locally, we've worked with local designers. So that creative process plays a very instrumental role in making these curiosities come to life and work,
You identified a gap in the market right in the beginning when posh styles weren't even a thing in Mzansi.
Yeah.
To give context, those are posh hostels.
Yeah.
Where did you draw that inspiration from, and what led you down this path?
For sure. So when I was 17, I took a backpacking trip across South Africa with two friends of mine. And what I realized at that time is that the industry was very mom and pop run. It was a cottage industry. It lacked design, it lacked experiences, and it wasn't very inclusive. I'll pick up the phone and try and make a booking, and the owners will say, they're fully booked. But when my German friend made a call, then they've got accommodation. And I think after seeing basically that, I came back to my city, Johannesburg, and I was like, I want to create my own. And so it was through that backpacking experience and also merging it with my experiences. We converted the first, an old printing house into the first design-led hybrid hostel in South Africa. And what was happening is that internationally there were brands who were really starting to create these type of accommodation models. So what was happening is that the backpacking industry was starting to grow up, and the hotel industry was learning a lot, because you make more money per square meter in a hostel type of configuration. And I realized that there was no one really pushing the envelope or pushing the needle forward in South Africa regarding this particular type of accommodation model. And I felt that Curiosity can really pioneer and become a leading brand within Africa to create these posh hotels, flash packer, hybrid hotels within South Africa.
Now, Curiosity is 10 years in the making. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Where to next for Bheki? Where to next for Curiosity? What is your expansion plan?
Yeah. So, we've taken a very more disciplined approach, particularly me as the founder and group CEO of the brand, where I think for the next 2 to 5 years, we're very focused on growing within South Africa. So opening sites in the Kruger National Park, something in the Garden Route, growing within the Cape Town geography, something in Rosebank in Johannesburg. And then that way you can own the country's itinerary. Can you imagine buying or booking a 30-day package with Curiosity across South Africa? And then I think more medium into long term, partnering with like-minded entrepreneurs within the African continent. So Curiosity is a very pan-African brand, and it's committed to Africa, and identifying slam dunk locations. We want to be in Tanzania, we want to be in Rwanda, we want to be in Kenya, we want to be in Morocco, Mauritius, Livingston, Botswana, and that's more medium into long term, But for now, really, growing our engine room, and making sure that the current existing sites are operating and creating enough value both for our teams, creating enough value for our guests and shareholders.
Bex, congratulations. I'm always in awe of your work, always honored to be able to have these conversations with you. I celebrate you, and onwards and upwards, and I wish you all the best with everything that you do.
No, thank you so much, Ondela, and thank you for constantly inspiring us, inspiring me, and I draw a lot of inspiration from you.
Thanks, Ed.